the story of the lichens, and I learn it. I work with it. I use my intellect to really understand as much of it as I can. And it's complicated, and the science is complicated. Then I might do some drawings, or I might do some art to help me understand it, or some diagrams. Then I go to the lichens in my place, and maybe I offer the drawings to a particular lichen on a particular rock. I give you, here, lichen on the rock. Here's what I've learned. Here's the story I have about you. And I find if I do that, the lichen somehow wakes up and starts to allow this story to happen. And if I can relax enough, it's as if the imaginal world, as David was saying, is actually in the lichen. It's not anywhere else. Opens up, a portal opens up, and I plunge into deep time. And I get this sense that, yes, well, once there were fungi and there were free-living photosynthetic bacteria or algae, and long ago they got together to form lichens, and these lichens then started weathering the rocks on the early continental surfaces. Before there were plants, before there were animals on the continental surfaces, they were the first beings that could survive in such harsh environments. We know this from the science. This is probably around 600 million years ago, and they started weathering the rocks and releasing nutrients into the oceans. And there's more story. I won't go into it all, but basically the lichens set the scene for the evolution of life on land. But some part of me has connected very deeply with Gaia. Some part of me has been nourished, and not only been nourished, but nourished. So it's not a question of just taking nourishment. It's by making this kind of effort, I've given something to Gaia. I've helped her to know herself. There's no other culture that's ever been able to give her that gift. You can tell her you are 4,600 million years old. You give her that gift, I think she wakes up more. You tell her about how her lichens evolved, she wakes up more. You tell her about the evolutionary history of trees. You tell her, I haven't even mentioned the cycles and the feedback loops that are have been regulating her temperature over billions of years. This is what James Lovelock taught me and many others of us. We give her all that. And, I think she's been waiting for us to do that. Suddenly, you tell her the story, and you get a synchronistic event, or as Freya Matthew would called it, an ontopoetic moment happens. You give her, I've had this experience. I've given this story to my Gaia tree, my goat willow female, who looks like an elephant. So I call her the elephant Gaia mother tree. And suddenly, as I'm stepping out of the wood, having shared this story with her and the stream and all the plants, and suddenly a heron flies over, right over me like that. It's not easy. It's very rare to see a heron in England flying over. You fly, and that means that the story's been heard.